Let's now go to a master of poking fun at the wilder side of gender politics, MrMenno. Huge hit last week. More hits than I've ever had for my show, by the way. And with fans like J.K. Rowling and Ricky Gervais, you know he's hitting all the right notes. MrMenno, welcome back to the Lembit Öpik show on TNT. But before you say anything, studio, please play the clip of another MrMenno masterpiece, In the Ladies. Over to you.
You can get your willy out in the ladies. You can wave it all about in the ladies. Security will wave you in the ladies. They must accept you as their kid in the ladies. You don't need a GRC in the ladies. You just say, I wanna be in the ladies. Your womanhood won't be in doubt in the ladies. And they can never be proud. Let them be, let it be their identity. Let them be, let it be their identity.
MrMenno, welcome back. And congratulations on another masterpiece. How have you been?
The clips I had to zip through to make that video. Like this is the mild version, right? But the stuff you see that's actually happening in the women's toilets is just I needed bleach for my eyes after that.
It's extremely impressive that you are doing this. You could be accused of a hate criminal, of a thought criminal.
I've been accused of all sorts.
First of all, this is another great piece of work by you in terms of providing satire. I wonder if you're actually speaking to a very large proportion of people who are scared to say this because they are exactly terrified of censorship, cancellation, and being accused of thought crimes.
Yes, and especially women. So if there's so many people that can't speak about this, which is one of the reasons why I decided to take this on and go, all right, well, I'll expose it in my sort of way. And it seems to be getting through, which is a good thing. But even though, you can see it as a bit of a silly song, these things are happening. And one thing that we heard yesterday is that Edinburgh Rape Crisis Centre, there was a review of how they go about their business. And they just found that by putting a man in charge of that rape shelter, right? We're talking about some of the most vulnerable women in society that, you don't go to a rape shelter for fun. And then they get there, and then it's run by a man who claims to be a woman, who took that job that was advertised as being only for women, right? They used those exemptions from the Equality Act to say that this job is only for women. And they still hired a man, knowing he was a man, but he calls himself a lady. They put him in charge, and basically now a review has found that basically he fucked it all up there. He turns women who needed service, he turned them away. He wouldn't refer them to an actual women-only rape shelter because, it was founded by J.K. Rowling. And there was a tribunal a few months ago that found that one of the team members, basically he orchestrated like a Kafkaesque campaign against her because she thought that women who've been raped should know the sex of the person that would help them at the center. So she won a tribunal. Anyway, that's a lot of detail, but it just shows how insane everything has become.
It is insane. At the end of the day, we need to remember the figures. A tiny, tiny proportion of the human race consider changing their sex, going through a sex change operation. And an even smaller percentage even go through it. The total amount of non-straight people identified in the UK, and it might be an overestimate in my view, the total amount of non-straight people is 3.5%. And yet, the other 96.5% are made to feel that they've got to be somehow it's wrong to talk in a conventional old-fashioned way. Often people hear people say, "Oh no, he or she." I mean, I don't mean any offence by that.
Right?
6.5% of the human race don't give it a second thought that we're he or she and likely to have heterosexual relationships.
Yes, but this is not really about heterosexuality or being straight, because a lot of these blokes who say they're women are actually straight men. But then they call themselves lesbians because, they're still attracted to women. So it's easy to think about this as a sexual orientation thing, but it isn't. It's something completely different. It's one of the reasons why I, as a gay man, think it's so important that, I'm in this and I'm calling this out, because now we have women claiming to be gay men and they want to get into the gay sauna. So, you come home and you're like, hey, mum, you're going to be a grandma. And she's like, no, I didn't think that was going to work in your case. And it's like, well, I knocked up a guy at the sauna. Like,
this is ridiculous. And also, I do a podcast with a gay man, a former MP friend of mine, Mark Oaten, and we talk about this. And he has, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but he has a similar view to you, actually. And I think he just happens to be gay. That's just the way he is.
Right.
But he doesn't really go on and on and on and on about it like it's the central thing in his life. It's an incidental, in the same way that my sexuality isn't why I get up every morning. A sex and sexual orientation is important, but it's not everything. Education and what you do for a living and the contribution you make to society and whether you try to bomb Russia, those are the important things. One of them is gender. Why are we trying to promote this whole agenda to the point where we start trying to teach this to kids who haven't even reached puberty yet?
Right. Well, it is being taught. I mean, even in nursery schools, they're going mad for Pride, but they're making Pride a year-round thing, right? So they're actually embedding, even at Church of England primary schools and nursery schools, they're trying to embed gender as part of the entire curriculum. So it's not a separate topic that's taught. And this is sort of, in a way, the clever, but also the really insidious thing about it. So when they teach history, you go to your history class, they'll sneak some gender thing in there. You go to physical education, they'll start talking about a queer athlete. In any topic that I saw a chart of this that 3 Church of England schools are using, for primary school children, where there's 12 subjects and everywhere they've mapped out, this is where you talk about gender. So they keep trying to put this idea into tiny children's minds, 3, 4, 5, 6-year-olds, that you could be born in the wrong body, or whether you're a boy or a girl is just a choice, or that you could be anything in between or anything you make up. And that's something that, I don't even have words for it, how malicious I find that and how dangerous.
Yeah. I'm the same as you, and what bothers me is it looks like an overt agenda. I've mentioned this before. The Eurovision Song Contest used to be something that my family sat down. It was kitsch pop music from around Europe. Yeah. Now it's basically a sexual parade trying to work out who can be the most demonic or most sexually explicit. And I had my children in the room. I will never, ever let them watch that as long as they're children, unless they change their dimension, their direction. And also,
after I saw the Eurovision this year, after I saw the Eurovision this year, I thought I'll write a Eurovision song, right, for next year, and I'll just make it so stupid and crazy, and then see if it gets through. So it's called A Lady with a Ding-a-Ling, and obviously it's just about a bloke wanting to get his dick out. And they'll probably go, stunning and brave.
That I will vote for. I will vote for you. And the problem is, if you win, it'll be because of a lot of people. It could be you'll get in the shortlist because a lot of people don't realize it's ironic. But I would love it if you won, because the general public thought, this is funny. This is funny.
And that it's stunning and brave. And this is the thing. We spoke about this last time about the role of satire, but we're at a point now where you can't tell if it's satire or not. I mean, and in Spain, they introduced self-ID, meaning that any bloke can change his legal sex marker to an F without having had any form of so-called transition or surgery or hormonal interventions. And so what happens is you get this big, muscly soldier guy, with a permanent 5 o'clock shadow, and he goes, soy una mujer, I'm a lady, whatever. And now he's a woman in the eyes of the law. And now he wants to get in the women's toilet. And the army said, well, hang on, you can't. So now he's suing the army because they have no legal leg to stand on because he's a woman. And so it's not just, the usual, what we thought of as the old school transsexual, someone who really struggles with so-called gender dysphoria. and just wants to live their life and fit in. No, the floodgates are open now. Self-ID is coming into effect in Germany in November. So, with this judgment that we've just had in the tribunal for the Edinburgh Rape Crisis Centre, if self-ID is law, then women have no way to say no anymore. Even though what happened at that Rape Crisis Centre, and just this morning, the guy who runs it, he's just resigned at last. But look, women's organizations have been saying for years, this is not right. Rape victims need a women-only space that's actually women only, and not where blokes come in proclaiming to be women. So if even rape victims, and we're seeing this in prisons as well, where male double rapists get put into women's prisons, if even the women in those prisons and in those rape shelters don't matter, then that nothing matters.
Well,
gender. Is over everything.
I identify as a great fan of MrMenno. You must come back next Friday. Thank you so much. We will shamelessly promote your work as well, because it has to be said. Thank you, MrMenno. Coming up next on the theme of free speech, we have Tom Harris from the Free Speech Union, with what he's decided you need to know about from this week. See you in a minute.
What time is it?
Now, TNT Radio News.
You know what